They have the clockwork. If they really wanted to, they can make a commitment, but they'd be diving into a tier 1 tower.
That was his moment. He was going to go on that before anybody, because he's like, there's no way that C-Deck know that I have Univs here. And C-Deck don't have any River Wards, so they would have been playing blind there. And Shiki didn't even do that blink, he wasn't even trying to save it. He was just like, oh, I'm going to blink here to farm, just to get 1 or 2 extra CS, and he had no idea.
3-6 right now, 20 minutes in. We're having quite a slow, passive game at hand. Neither team really finding an opening. Neither team really has a whole lot of pressure, I think, on them to try and make something happen. Like, C-Deck had maybe an early advantage that they could have utilized to push down towers, but at the same time, they decided instead to go ahead, sit back, farm more, get the Ember Spirit where he's got Battle Fury and can start getting the Daedalus build coming up. eHome obviously have some very great late game heroes, and they also kind of were behind in the laning phase. So a lot of incentive, I think, for them to sit back and farm. So when C-Deck weren't really putting much pressure on them, eHome were like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah,
We've got the faster farming heroes.
You don't force the pace of the game at all. That's the main thing we've learned. I feel like that's the main lesson I've learned. Is like, if you're behind, don't just be like, I have to force something. We have to go right now. Just play the objectives, slow the game down. People they tend to make mistakes. So if you let them, you have a clear game plan, then you're fine. When it comes to late game, it's hard to really determine who is the better late game. I think when it comes to offlaners, the clockwork is going to be less useful than the Tusk, but the Lina is definitely going to be less useful than the Winter Wyvern. And the Naga has a lot of potential for the late game, as we've seen before. So both teams are going to feel relatively comfortable right now, but C-Deck are definitely in a type of period where they don't want to blow any sort of lead. Because CTY is definitely that type of player that just runs with it.
Yeah. At which point, like game plan wise, what is your critical mass for either team? Like, if we never just see an opening, this continues for the next 20 minutes, and every team just sit backs, and, farms, etc., what for you is really your critical mass for eHome and for C-Deck? At what point do they have certain items they should go force the fight?
BKB on Queen of Pain, Battle Fury, Manta maybe on the side of the Ember Spirit.
Okay.
It's going to sound really weird, and I know everybody will disagree with me, but I actually think that the Ember Spirit should just get something defensive like Yules. I think all-in committing for the Battle Fury doesn't do a lot. Like, eHome have the most AoE lineup of AoE lineups. You've got a Gyrocopter, a Storm Spirit, a Winter Wyvern. Like, your Manta is not going to help you that much. Same with the
Well, you disagree with the Battle Fury first on Ember Spirit?
No, I agree with it, but I think second item, going for something like a Manta style is too big of a commitment, and it's not going to give you enough.
Okay. 3-man smoke up. C-Deck are going to find CTY. They'll chain stun him down. Very nicely played. And they're not afraid to pop all the ultimates for it. Walrus Punch, Echo Slam, and a Laguna Blade, all for that little poor Storm Spirit. But then again, we haven't really seen any kills in the last few minutes, so why not pop all the ultimates to ensure a pickoff?
I don't feel bad for him. Storm Pickers deserve this.
His Tier 1 tower's dropping a little bit low. Aggressive brings his double damage rune to the 4. They pop the glyph now, and he jumps away to his remnant. Just a bit too risky for him. Go, Naga Siren Illusion.
He tried. He almost got the deny off. YJ gets the last hit on it, so they do get the deny, and they managed to gank the Storm, but C-Deck, I think the advantage is on them still. Like, they have more options for objectives. If they wanted, I guess they don't have a medallion carrier. Well, it could be the Tusk, but it looks like he's deciding to go for a mech instead. But if he had gone for medallion, the option would have been available for them to go for the Roshan. And then you open up the map a lot. But they do have a mech now on XC. And I think that does mean that you can get into fights. Like, there's a BKB on your Queen of Pain. Your Ember Spirit has 1,700 gold, but whatever he's going to decide to go for probably won't be in time. So it might actually just be go time here.
eHome, are they building a mech at all? They're not, right? No, they already have one on ROTK, that's right. The Clockworks. This is not very common in China, but is seen a decent amount more than ever in the Western scene, which is mech Clockwork.
Blade Mail is really popular for us, but Blade Mail wouldn't do too much, I think, against C-Deck's lineup. Especially if you see that Queen of Pain have a BKB.
Yeah.
And the Ember Spirit isn't trapped in with you at all, so he can just avoid hitting you.
The really hard part about Clockwork Mech is that the mana cost increase to 225 just kills
it
his
is half your
possibilities.
pool. You would need a stick charge. You need magic wand charges for sure.
Yeah, you really do. But it also means that you have to go regular boots on Clockwork, which I feel is very inefficient mana-wise, because tread switching, I think, is the most important aspect of Clockwork in the early game when it comes to saving its mana. So he has to go regular boots because he's going to go Arcanes later.
Oh, they're pinging like crazy on RTK. He's silenced.
Oh, does that save him? RTK is actually bottling up. The Orchid is not going to be enough burn damage by itself. And now they actually let it be able to go for Garter on the right-hand side. They already Orchided him up, get the kill. The rest of C-Deck trying to form a response. Ice Shards is not there in time, but they do jump on Alanum with Aggressive. Now they manage to get the ensnared. Chains is the response. Alanum dropping lower and lower, and there goes the Shiki ultimate. On to 3. DDC falls, and YJ with the BKB is not going to be enough to deal with this. CTY now comes in. He's got enough mana to get out. And TP away, but that was still a disaster fight for eHome, trying to save the Clockwork there and still force the fight. I mean, they just easily could have Song of Siren and walked away, but they really tried to force the fight onto a pickoff on Garter, and just turned worse and worse as time went on. CDEC, now thanks to that one, are going to be able to go for Roche.
CTY actually could have almost killed Aggressive, but Aggressive, it was just, he Sleight of Fist, and while he sees the Storm balling in from max distance away, gets his Fire Remnant off, and just fantastic fight by C-Deck. I think you were completely right in your assessment. eHome should have disengaged as soon as they saw what C-Deck had. Like, they had a BKB on the Queen of Pain. They were on the Hill of Death, too. This is the Queen of Pain ultimate Hill of Death.
Yeah.
Like, you never want to fight in that small coned area.
They still have a rather large Ancient stack that the Gyrocopter has yet to take. BKB is coming up for our Storm Spirit. The one survivor of that team fight is going to be able to have some item progression. BKB already complete for the Gyrocopter, though this also slows down his farm progression, right? When he goes for an early BKB like this. Relatively early, I guess.
I think it's still necessary, though.
Yeah.
As weird as it sounds, your team's in a position where if you get a BKB, your late game isn't as great, but if you don't, you get bursted down by pretty much everything. Like, one Earthshaker Fissure into Lina ultimate takes him down to about 1/3 of his HP.
Yeah.
And then you just get Queen of Pain ulted every single time after that. So, yeah, he doesn't decide to go for the Manta. He goes for a BKB. I like that. As I was saying, I don't think the Manta's going to do much for him, right? You've got so many counters on the side of eHome for him. They've got an Orchid. You can just wait, right? And even if you initiate in, there's not a whole lot that the Ember can do to survive. And so I think going for this was the better choice. On the flip side, CTY, in a rare occurrence, has decided to go for BKB after the Orchid. So eHome are definitely more committed to the mid-game than C-Deck are.
Let's see if they can win this fight. It's necessary, but Aggressive, he's already popped his BKB. They will be able to right-click him down. Nonetheless, maybe Sleight of Fist jumps over to the right-hand side, keeps on going. Redden jumps. He's trying to stay ahead, and it looks like he just will. Laguna Blade in order to finish off the Clockwork, who managed to get the tuss there with a Cogs bounce back. Aggressive does survive. Garter, though, is going to be able to lock down CTY on top of that one, and look for more with the Fisher stun onto YJ. Q runs forward, Light Strike Array, and the right clicks from Shiki. Did manage to get the turnaround on the Lina, but it's still one fight easily for C-Deck, who are going to go for more now. DDC, Glimmer Cape away, and he is good. Ember Spirit did manage to track down the Naga Siren in that middle lane as well. So that was the BKB. That was the BKB on the Ember Spirit, 100%. The fact that they couldn't lay any magic damage onto him during that Winter's Curse allowed him to survive, and I think ultimately kind of won the fight for C-Deck.
He did so much work in that fight. He managed to chase down the Naga at the same time, so he gets himself a solo kill, and he doesn't allow them any potential for, you know, the sleep getaway. And at the same time, he had like 400 HP after the Winter's Curse. Maybe less than that, actually. I'm exaggerating.
Oh, yeah, I think
200. And he just Fire Remnant, Fire Remnant, Fire Remnant, buys himself time with Sleight of Fist and manages to get out of there. And it almost felt like eHome were distracted because they had a time where they could have just all in and kill them. And maybe then the fight goes a different way where you still have the Naga sleep to disengage and you can play the numbers game. But as it went, he chased out the Naga completely by himself with almost no HP and manages to get out and win that fight. Shiki is just so farmed now.
And after that, Garter now has a Blink Dagger, pretty much. Our Tusk can go for... He can go back for the Medallion if he thinks... Yeah, I think that would probably still be a great item pickup.
Yeah, I think so. It's better than nothing at this point.
Yeah.
If you're not certain what to get, your team is really bad at Roshi.
The other item would be Blink Dagger to save his Ember Spirit during, like, there is snowball plays that you can do. You can't blink and snowball the person that's Winter's Curse, obviously, but you can snowball through that area and grab the person that's Winter's Curse.
Yeah, I would really like if at least one of them got a medallion, though. And
Yeah.
it's not going to be the Earthshaker.
And it's probably not going to be the Lina. She's got a Yule Scepter. So
Maybe she decides to go for it now, but Storm at bottom. They want to pop a BKB charge.
Yeah,
I think he even missed the combo.
yeah, he did. He 100% did. That was way too early, but CTY popped it anyway, just in case.
I think CTY should have waited on the BKB in that case. Because even if they come in with the Queen of Pain Orchid, then at that point you can commit. But if she misses, you can actually just get out of there. There's actually a cool combination, did I tell you? If you Orchid on the way down of your Yules onto the Lina, she can't follow you up with any spells. Like, if her timing is good, she'll get the stun off, but nothing else. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you just counter Orchid.
Yeah. A lot of people, there was an era where Storms were complaining about how Lina's combo was broken. You know, they get one shot.
Yeah.
But instead of trying to zip away, which is what 99% of Storms do, just Orchid her, and then she'll stun you, and then you fight back, and all and she's Orchided.
Yeah.
100% kill every time.
Ice Shards, DDC has to stay ahead of that one. Slowly but surely, C-Deck are taking this tier 2 tower. E-Home doesn't look like they're really going to fight this one. They would have required TPs in from their cores. That's just not going to happen. So they're just trying to stall up C-Deck as best as possible, buy time for their Storm Spirit to push in the middle tower, which does fall, and YJ to put some pressure on that tier 2 at the top lane.
There's a Blink Dagger now on Aggressive. I think he's just going to play the Sleight of
wow.
Fist, hit and run game in team fights. But at top, they look like they want to make an attempt for Shiki.
Sonic Wave actually goes out. They get the call down. On top of that, the burst damage